Hello everyone, this is the finale of What If Naruto Was Hinata's Bodyguard, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. As was Naruto's tradition, they went for ramen. Both were rather tired and exceedingly hungry, so they ate in silence. Hinata finished first and watched Naruto idly, blinking sleepily as she did so. Naruto finally finished, and paid for both of them. Hinata roused herself enough to protest. Naruto, you don't have to. No, Hinata. My treat. Naruto grinned and held out his hand to her. Hinata smiled and took the offered hand as she slid off her stool. Hinata yawned as they walked to Naruto's apartment and Naruto laughed. Tired, Hinata? Yeah, I completely drained my chakra on accident. I haven't done that in a long time, and it probably wasn't very smart. Hinata yawned again and let her head rest against Naruto's shoulder. He slowed his pace for her. Don't worry, we'll be home soon. And I'm sure no one's following us. I've got both of our chakras suppressed and I keep checking, so you're safe. You can go right to sleep. He released her hand so he could wrap his arm around her shoulders. And no nightmares this time. You almost gave me a heart attack last night. Sorry, Naruto. Hinata, I'm just teasing you. I'll keep any nightmares away, I promise. Thanks. Hinata yawned again, then stumbled from pure fatigue and fell to her knees. She had the bad luck to have one of her knees land squarely on a rock. She yelped in pain and rolled to the side, holding her knee. Hinata, are you okay? What happened? My knee hit a rock. Ouch. Naruto winced in sympathy as he knelt down next to her. That hurts the worst. Hinata just nodded and hugged her knee. Naruto reached out and brushed away a few involuntary tears, then cupped her cheek gently. Can you walk? I think so. Help me up. Hinata held out both hands, but Naruto ignored them, and wrapped his hands around her waist instead. In one smooth movement, he stood up and brought Hinata with him. He held her close for a second, and Hinata leaned against his seat, letting him support her weight instead of her injured knee. She took a deep breath and leaned her forehead against his seat, right above his heart. They both stood there for a minute, lost in the moment. Then Naruto sighed and loosened his grip on her. Hinata echoed his sigh with one of her own, and stepped back, putting weight on her injured knee. It hurt. She winced and her knee bent involuntarily. She might have fallen if Naruto hadn't grabbed her. Whoa. Ouch. She muttered. Okay, that answers my question. You can't walk, so piggyback time, Hinata. Naruto. Hinata felt her face flare red, and became annoyed at herself. Hinata, you're blushing. Naruto ran a finger down her cheek, which just made Hinata blush more and Naruto laugh. Come on now. He turned his back on Hinata, bent his knees and glanced over his shoulder at her with a grin. Hinata firmly told herself to calm down, and took a deep breath. Then she wrapped her arms around his end from behind. The heartbeat she had tried to slow down spiked when he grabbed her upper thighs and hiked her up onto his back. He shifted her body so that most of her weight was above his hips and set off down the street. Hinata let her eyes close, and rested her chin on his shoulder. Her cheek brushed Naruto's and his blonde stubble rasped against her cheek. She shivered at the unfamiliar sensation and pressed closer to him. His skin was warm and smelled like smoke and leaves, the outdoors, and even a faint underlying scent of sweat from training. Hinata didn't mind. She probably smelled like sweat herself. She must have dozed off, because the next thing she knew, Naruto was gently laying her down on his couch. Naruto had known the instant Hinata had fallen asleep. Her arms had gone slack, and she slumped over his shoulder. He had walked very carefully and softly, trying not to wake her up, and had been lowering her onto his couch when she woke up. Hey, he smiled as she rubbed at her eyes. Sorry if I woke up. You didn't. I was just dozing. Hinata yawned and stretched, as Naruto slid out of his jacket and tossed it over the back of the couch. You want me to take a look at that knee? Do you mind? Nah. I'm hopeless at medical jutsu, but Jiraiya did teach me basic first aid, and I've injured myself enough to know a bit. He looked at her tight ninja outfit and raised an eyebrow. You might want to change though, into something looser. I can lend you another pair of pants and a shirt. Thanks. No problem. He started to leave the room, then stopped to wink at her. Besides, you look a hell of a lot better in 'em than I do. Naruto. Hinata burst out laughing. You're impossible. Yeah, well I try. And you're succeeding. Or, you know you love it. Naruto gave her a smug grin, then left her in the livening room while he went to get the extra clothes for her. He was back quickly with the clothes, the familiar orange and black training pants and white t-shirt. He passed them to her, then helped her limp into the bathroom to change. He waited outside, then went in when she called him. Just like last night, he had to grin when he saw her. The clothes were extremely large on her, making her look so small, fragile and young that Naruto just wanted to wrap his arms around her and protect her. Hinata noticed his grin, and tilted her head to the side, grinning back at him. What? Nothing. It's just like I said, you look a hell of a lot better in my clothes than I do. He leered at her playfully and Hinata rolled her eyes as she giggled. Naruto reached out and ruffled her hair affectionately, then gathered up her hair in one hand and let the heavy dark locks tumble through his fingers. Come on, I'll carry you into the livening room so I can look at that knee. Naruto scooped her up, laughing at her squeaked protest. He carried her into the livening room, and set her gently on his couch. Then Naruto knelt in front of Hinata and slid up the pant leg to look at her injured knee. He examined the bruise that was forming, pressing around it gently, pulling back when Hinata winced. Then he sat back on his heels and smiled up at her. Well, you are sporting one beauty of a bruise, and it may hurt for a little bit, but that's it. He rose to his feet and slid onto the couch next to her. Hinata drew her leg up to her knee and examined her knee herself, brushing her small fingers over the bruise. Ouch, she muttered. Naruto laughed as he pulled up his own pant leg to reveal his own knee. Naruto, what happened? Naruto also traced the scar, his finger trailing hers. I fell on a very sharp rock while going really fast. It hurt and was really bad, but Jiraiya and I are both really bad at medical jutsu, so all we could do was stop the bee and wrap it. Man, it hurt for weeks. I bet. Hinata gathered up her courage. Smiling at his baffled look, she explained. It's something my mother used to do when I was little and would hurt myself playing. She'd always, it better. She smiled at the memory, and Naruto also smiled. But his smile was sad. I never had anyone, it better, before Hinata. Thank you. You're welcome Naruto. She narrowed her eyes when his grin went from sad to mischievous. What are you thinking? That I should return the favor. He leaned forward, his eyes never leaving hers. His breath was warm on her knee and she froze, her wide eyes locked on his. She smiled at him, and he grinned back as he sat back against the couch. Remembering his bruises from training, she gathered all of her courage and leaned forward. Naruto grinned, but knew that she was gathering up every shred of her courage. She sighed and relaxed against him. As soon as she was comfortable, she took a deep breath, then looked up at Naruto as he touched her cheek. Just like before, at the training ground, time seemed to simply slow down and almost stop as Naruto caressed her cheek. Drowning in his deep blue eyes, and then there was a knock on his door, causing both of them to pull back. Hinata felt like destroying something, preferably the person behind the door, and Naruto's mood wasn't much better. Damn it, he snarled, revealing his large canines, and let his head fall back against the couch. Naruto shook his head and reached for her, but she pointed at the door. Naruto pouted, then pushed himself off the couch and stomped to the door. He yanked it open and raised an eyebrow at the pink-haired ninja. Yeah, Naruto, can I talk to you? Her eyes went wide as she looked past him and saw Hinata sitting on his couch, wearing a very familiar pair of orange and black training pants and a white t-shirt. Alone, she squeaked. Naruto growled and ran a hand over his face. He could still feel Hinata on his lips, so he pulled his lips back from his oversized canines in a silent snarl, and rolled his shoulders, feeling the tightness there. Then he stepped out into the hallway and pulled the door almost closed behind him. He left a small gap so he could hear if Hinata needed him. Extremely sensitive hearing was a huge plus. Naruto leaned one shoulder against the wall, and fixed those deep, wild blue eyes of his on Sakura. There, we're alone. What's on your mind? What's going on with you and Hinata? Sakura burst out, surprised at herself. She had rehearsed what she was going to say on the way over here, and that wasn't it. But that was what had come out. And now Naruto was narrowing his eyes and glaring at her. Why do you care? What business of yours is it? Naruto were friends and teammates. Oh stop it Sakura. Naruto burst out. You never treated me like a friend or a teammate. All you ever cared about was Sasuke. I thought of him as a friend, but he tried to K me. You're just mad and jealous because I'm spending time with someone else, because I finally realized that you were just using me. Naruto, that's not true. Sakura, I love you like a sister, but we're not friends. You treated me like a lapdog. When you even paid any attention to me, you ignored me whenever Sasuke was within spitting distance, insulted me when it suited you, and you always left me alone to go after Sasuke. He ran a hand through his hair. Sakura, we're not even teammates anymore. Most of my missions are with Hinata, Kiba and Shino, or their solo missions. Hinata is a true friend. She's a Hyuga freak. She's too shy to even talk to you. Sakura bust out, and instantly knew it was a mistake. Stop it Sakura. Hinata's not a freak, she's my friend. And, so what if she's shy and quiet? It's a refreshing change from loud, brash girls who knock me head over heels every time they lose their temper or their mood changes. She's very sweet, and she actually looks at me, and listens to me when I talk to her, instead of calling me an idiot and smacking me around. Just before I fought Neji, she encouraged me instead of automatically assuming that I would lose, like everyone else. Ino told me about how you spent half of my match worrying about Sasuke instead of cheering for me, like a true teammate should. Hinata has always stood up for me and cheered me on, even before we became close. Naruto. To her horror, Sakura felt tears coming on, tears that she couldn't stop. As soon as Naruto saw her crying, his face paled and he started panicking. He hated it when Sakura cried, he never knew what to do. Comforting Hinata felt natural, but he always felt awkward and uncertain when he tried to comfort Sakura. Sakura, don't cry. Please, don't cry. I can't handle it when you cry. Naruto was practically begging her, and that just made Sakura cry harder. Naruto was right, she had been a horrible friend and teammate to him. Naruto, I'm so sorry. She sobbed. She stepped forward, pressing her face into his sea as she cried. She felt his arms come around her, as awkward and clumsy as ever. There was none of the gentle protectiveness she had seen when he was with Hinata. With Hinata, Naruto had been sure and confident, knowing what to say and how to touch. With Sakura he was awkward and wary, always ready to leap away should Sakura turn violent. Sakura pulled away and looked up at Naruto, studying his face, his features so familiar, yet it was almost like she was seeing them for the first time. His hair was such an unusual shade of yellow that your eye was drawn to it almost instantly, and it seemed to grow in wild, untidy spikes all over his head. The spikes seemed a little shorter than she remembered, like he had just gotten it see. His blue eyes were so large, wild and blue that you could drown in them. And though he pretended otherwise, those eyes saw things that even experienced ninjas missed. He wasn't a scrawny runt anymore. In fact, he was one of the tallest ninjas in the village, and was leanly muscular, tight muscles packed on top of tight muscles, instead of scrawny. His muscles were tightly compacted, like those of a huge cat, and that was how he moved. Smooth and silent. Sakura once again felt tears sting her eyes as she realized how much he had changed, without her noticing. But Hinata noticed. She realized. That's what's so special about her. She noticed Naruto, even when nobody else did. Sakura closed her eyes to fight the tears. I could have had him. I could have given up on Sasuke and been with Naruto. But now I've lost him, and Sasuke. I've lost both of them and it's my own fault. Sakura pulled away from Naruto, her aching heart cracking slightly when he let her go. I'm sorry I wasn't a better friend, Naruto. Sakura whispered, tears trickling down her cheeks as she turned to go. Naruto blinked, baffled. What? No. Sakura, wait a minute. Naruto leapt forward after her and grabbed her elbow. He spun her around and grabbed both of her upper arms. She didn't fight him, just stared at the ground. Damn it, girl, you can be damn confusing at times. Look at me. Her eyes remained focused on the ground and he gave her a slight shake. When she still didn't look at him, he reached out to cup her chin and lifted her face to look at him. Blue eyes meet green and Naruto smiled. Sakura, you don't have to be sorry. It's okay, really. And you know what? I have enough friends. He grinned at her. But I don't have another little sister. Oh Naruto. Sakura hugged him, her bruised and cracked heart healing when she felt him return the embrace naturally and confidently, with no trace of his previous awkwardness. Wait a sec. Sakura pushed back and glared at him playfully. Little sister. I'm older than you. 7 months older. But smaller. Naruto put a hand on her head to illustrate how much shorter than him she was now. So you get to be the little sister. His grin got bigger. Deal with it. Fine. For now. Sakura smiled at him gently. Thanks, Oni-chan. Then whispered in his ear. Don't let her go. Don't make the same mistake I did. Ha. Naruto went to grab her arm again, but she avoided him this time and slipped down the stairs. Naruto ran a hand through his hair and growled. Damn it, I'm starting to agree with Shikamaru, girls are just too troublesome. Except one. He amended silently, thinking about Hinata. Then the meaning of Sakura's words, don't let her go, hit him like a ton of bricks. She wanted him to tell Hinata how he felt. Hell, Naruto wanted to tell her how he felt, but he couldn't. Not until he told her something far more important, and potentially more devastating. Suddenly uneasy, he rubbed at his stomach. It was time to bring Hinata in on the secret about what was currently cohabiting his body. Naruto and Hinata and Naruto and Hinata and Naruto and Hinata and Naruto and Hinata. Hinata was curled up on the couch when Naruto came back into the apartment and shut the door. She stood up and hugged him as soon as he got close to her, which told him she had heard everything. He hugged her back, burying his nose in her blue-black hair. Hinata pulled back slightly and smiled up at him. You're very sweet, Naruto. And you're a good friend. Hinata. Naruto framed her face with his hands. She needed to know. He needed her to know. What is it, Naruto? She asked. She could sense he was troubled. Hinata, I need to tell you something. What is it? Her eyes searched his face worriedly. Let's sit down. He led her to the couch and they sat down. They both turned to face each other, and Naruto took her hands, entwining their fingers. He didn't seem to know how to start, but Hinata didn't push him. Finally, he took a deep breath and lifted his eyes to hers. What do you know about the Kyuubi? He asked. Hinata blinked, confused, but Naruto was completely serious. Well, it happened about 2 months before I was born, so all I know is what's taught at the academy. She paused, but Naruto didn't speak, so she continued. The Kyuubi attacked our village and was fought off by our ninjas for 4 days. A lot of people before the Yondaime managed to defeat him, losing his life in the process. The Yondaime didn't defeat the Kyuubi. Naruto said bluntly. Hinata's eyes went wide. He couldn't. Instead, he selected a newborn child, imprisoning its soul. That baby was for the safety of the entire village, to become a living vessel for the imprisonment of the fox. Naruto's eyes were haunted by a lifelong hurt. Hinata, I was that baby. I'm the vessel. The fox is inside me. Hinata gasped, and suddenly, everything made sense. The hatred and contempt of every adult in the village. The 2 different chakra that Neji swore were mixing inside of him. His almost limitless chakra and stamina. It all made sense now. She tightened her grip on his hands when he looked down and tried to pull away. He looked up, and almost from pure relief when she smiled at him. Oh Naruto. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. He blinked rapidly at her. No, you are you, not the fox, or here. She touched his temple. Your heart, your mind and your soul belong to you. She traced his whiskers, which, again, made him shiver. It does explain these though. Naruto let out a burst of surprised laughter that sounded almost like a bark, and Hinata giggled. It also explains that adorable, fox, grins he gets. She thought. Naruto, nobody who knows you would see you as the fox. The Hokage-san sees you as her little brother, Iruka-sensei, Kakashi-san and Jiraiya-san all see you as a student. Sakura-chan and Konohamaru-kun see you as their older brother. Kiba-kun and Lee-kun see you as a sparring partner, and Nejini-san and Tenten-chan see you as someone they respect. Shino-kun, Shikamaru-kun, Choji-kun and Ino-chan see you as a friend. You see, you are not the fox. You are Naruto. What about you, Hinata? Naruto asked, his fierce blue eyes locked on hers. What do you see when you look at me? Me. Hinata smiled and ran her hands through his spikes. I see a head full of blonde spikes that I always want to smooth down. Her fingers moved down to rest next to his eyes. I see a pair of wild blue eyes that never miss a thing in battle, but can be frustratingly blind outside of it. No, shush, she insisted when he opened his mouth to talk. My turn, Naruto. Her fingers moved down to his whiskers, and he shivered. I see whiskers that have always fascinated me, and seem amazingly sensitive. Unable to stop himself, Hinata smiled, even as her heart pounded and her mouth went dry. But she went on. Naruto needed this, and she would not let him down. I see a mouth that can give me a smile that rivals the sun in warmth and brightness, especially at night. She slid her hands down to his shoulders. I see two arms that are strong enough to lift me up over your head. Her hands moved back up to frame his face with her hands. And I see a former, runt, and, last, who has grown into a man who is one of the tallest ninjas in the village, as well as one of the strongest. I see a strong and respected member of the Konoha ninjas. What I don't see is any fur or tails. I don't see any fox. I only see you, Uzumaki Naruto, my best and closest friend. Quote, oh Naruto. Hinata pressed closer to Naruto's sea. I could never not accept you. You are one of my precious people. And you're one of mine, Hinata. Naruto rested his cheek on top of her head, then laughed quietly when he heard her yawn, and remembered that she had been exhausted even before they got home. He scooped her up in his arms, chuckling over her half-hearted protests. Hinata, you're so tired that you can barely keep your eyes open. Let's just go to bed, okay? Okay, Naruto. She agreed, already half asleep. She rested her head on his shoulder and closed her eyes, snuggling up against him. You'll stay with me, right? The question was a tiny whisper, but Naruto heard her anyway. Shush, go to sleep. Of course I'll stay with you. Gotta keep those nightmares away, you know. Thank you. Hinata whispered, then she fell asleep, right in Naruto's arms. Naruto couldn't wipe the grin off of his face, she was just so cute. Naruto didn't even bother to turn on the light. Enhanced eyesight combined with familiarity allowed him to lay Hinata on his bed, and then changed into his own pajama in complete darkness. As soon as he had changed into a pair of pajama pants and a black t-shirt, she was fast asleep, yet when she felt his presence, she rolled to face him, snuggling up against his sea. Naruto, she whispered. Naruto smiled and wrapped his arms around her, burying his nose in her hair. Slowly, surrounded by her warmth and the scent of her hair, he fell asleep. Naruto woke up suddenly, and was a little confused. It was still dark, and he usually slept all the way through the night. Then there was a loud banging at his door, Hinata sat up next to him, and Naruto realized what had woken him up. What is it? Hinata mumbled, rubbing at her eyes. Someone's at the door. Can you see who it is? Naruto asked with a yawn. Hinata nodded and activated her Byakugan. She looked toward the door, and her eyes went wide. It's Neji. She scrambled out of bed, followed by Naruto. Sure, this time he knocks. Naruto muttered, rushing to the door. Naruto, Hinata warned. Naruto threw her a grin as he yanked open the door. A grin that faded as soon as he saw Neji. The young Hyuga, genius, had AC on his forehead that dripped down his face, was cradling his side with his right arm in a way that told Hinata that some ribs were broken, and his left arm hung almost sickeningly loose. It was dislocated. Neji-ni-san. What happened? Hinata, it's your father. The grass nins attacked again, and they drugged him and took him hostage when they found you gone. They want to exchange him for you, and the clan elders have agreed. What? Naruto burst out. He moved to block Neji, pushing Hinata back behind him. They'll kill her. Damn it, Naruto, I know, okay. I know. Neji paled and swayed a little. Why do you think I nearly got myself trying to get her father back from the grass nins? And then almost myself trying to get here before the Hyuga guards the elders sent out find out where she is. It won't take them long to find her, not with the Byakugan. Neji slumped against the doorway, and would have fallen, but Naruto caught him and helped him to the couch. You two have got to get out of here. Neji insisted, his face white and drenched with sweat. Naruto, listen to me. The two of you have got to find a way to save Hiashi-san, but not at the risk of Hinata's life. I've got an idea, Naruto said. He turned to Hinata and grabbed her hand. Hinata, do you trust me? Of course, Naruto. Hinata said instantly. Naruto squeezed her hand, then stepped back. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, he yelled, producing 5 shadow clones. Hinata, one clone with take you the Hyuga compound. I'm going to use the others to help me gather up the other rookie 9, and Team Guy. He grabbed Hinata's shoulders and squeezed. Use your chakra sensing abilities right before you get to the gate. I'll leak a tiny bit of chakra so you know if I'm there. Trust me, I won't let you down. Okay. He paused, then turned to Neji. I'll send Tenten here to you. Are you going to be okay until she can get here? I'll be fine, Neji said. Naruto noted that, now that he was sitting down, Neji looked better. He had gotten some of his color back, he was breathing better, and he wasn't sweating anymore. Okay, he decided. He nodded at one of his clones, which moved over to stand by Hinata. Give me 20 minutes to get everyone together. Naruto motioned at his other 4 clones to follow him as he started towards the door. Let's go. Naruto, wait. Hinata ran after him and grabbed his arm. When he turned to face her, she threw her arms around his neck. Be safe, she whispered, pressing her face into his shoulder and inhaling his scent. Please, Naruto. Just be safe. I will. Naruto hugged her back. We'll get through this, I promise. I believe you. Hinata pulled back and stared up at him. Just be safe, okay? Okay. Naruto promised. Be careful, Hinata. I'm not going to lose you now. Then he and the 4 clones left. Hinata gently tended Neji's head wound, and made him comfortable before she and the remaining clone also left. Naruto and Hinata and 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 Naruto and Hinata. Hinata and the Naruto clone took 15 minutes to get it to the Hyuga compound. Hinata could have easily made it in less than 5 minutes, but she needed to give Naruto all the time she could, so that he could get everyone together, and work out a plan. As she neared the compound, she thought she saw a flash of orange out of the corner of her eye, but couldn't be sure, and when she turned, nothing was there. She carefully spread out her chakra, and sighed in relief when she caught a flash of Naruto's chakra. It was brief, like a brush of fingertips, and then it was gone. But that tiny contact made her smile, and slowed her pounding heartbeat. He was here, he had come, with the remaining rookie 9 and Lee, to help her and back her up. She could be brave and strong for him. Tonight, she would act like a Hyuga, for him. The Naruto clone grinned and gave her a thumbs up when she stood up straight, her head held high and Byakugan activated. With her Hyuga blood limit, opening the heavy main gate was no problem, it had been designed that way. The clone flanked her like a formal bodyguard, one hand resting on the handle of a kunai knife. Hinata's eyes narrowed when she realized that there was a standoff happening there in the main courtyard. The grass nins, masked but still recognizable, were on the far right. Her father lay in front of them, unconscious. Hinata's Byakugan quickly discovered that he had been, the source a tiny dart in his neck. It had probably been administered while he slept because his pajamas were undisturbed. The entire Hyuga family, except for the youngest children, was on the far left. The clan elders, her father's advisors and her and Hanabi's early teachers, stood in front. Hanabi, as heiress, stood with them. Her face was white, but she stood firm. Hinata and the clone stopped in between them. I'm here, Hinata announced. She glared at the elders, her Byakugan blazing. But I refuse to be a bargaining chip, as if I'm worthless to this clan. She whirled toward the grass nins, already gathering her chakra in her hands. I'm here to fight. I'm not running, and I won't let you hurt my family. Hinata rushed the grass nins. There were 5 of them, inside and probably 4 outside on guard. Grass nins always worked in teams of 3, or multiple teams of 3. Just before she reached them, there were 4 thumps just behind them, inside the compound. With her Byakugan, Hinata saw what it was before the grass nins. Kiba, Lee, Sakura and Choji had all jumped over the wall, with the B of 4 grass nins. They each held the B underneath them, so that the S weight absorbed the impact of the landing. The grass nins had all spun around, expecting an attack from behind. Their information had stated that Hinata wasn't a threat, so they turned their backs on her. And that was a mistake. Hinata had spent years focusing on making her chakra thinner, stronger, and more flexible, until her chakra was wire-thin, razor-sharp and extremely loose and flexible, and Hinata could wield it like an invisible whip. She brought her right hand up and flicked her wrist from left to right. All 5 of the grass nins grunted as they were knocked off their feet by something that tore through the skin on their backs like a razor-sharp kunai knife. All of them were now beat heavily, but Hinata knew that wouldn't keep them down. And that's why you should never turn your back on a misfit. Naruto jumped down from the top of the fence, and his clone disappeared. They just might surprise you. And you won't like it, I promise you. He motioned at the 4B. They underestimated us, which was a mistake. The largest grass nin stumbled to his feet and sneered at Naruto as he drew a kunai knife. Stupid genin. You're out of your league. You weren't listening. Naruto scolded, shaking his head. He rushed the man, blocked the kunai knife with one hand, then shoved his hand against the man's stomach. Don't ever underestimate me, he snarled. Rasengan. The blue orb of explosive chakra formed in Naruto's hand and he pressed it into the man's body. The man screamed, and Naruto jumped back, leaving the Rasengan inside the ninja. There was a muffled explosion, and the man dropped like a puppet with its strings see. With her Byakugan, Hinata could see why. The Rasengan had exploded inside of him, shredding his internal organs and killing him instantly. Hey! One of the grass nins started towards Naruto, then froze, a shocked look on his face. Hey man, you're just too troublesome. Shikamaru said, dropping down from the fence, where he had been standing in the shadows. Naruto interrupted a perfectly good game of shogi to drag me here, so let's finish this. Kage Nui. The grass nin collapsed as Shikamaru's shadow. Hinata smiled when she heard Shikamaru snort. Well, that wasn't worth the trouble. You're impossible, Shikamaru, Naruto complained, grinning up at the young strategist, who shook his head and rolled his eyes, yet grinned back. Hinata knew that despite the almost daily bickering the two engaged in, they were good friends. The 3 remaining grass nins were nervous now, shifting their weight from foot to foot, unsure where to look or what to guard against. Hinata could see through their masks, and a very Naruto-like smirk appeared on her face when she realized something. They were afraid. One of them suddenly jerked with a gasp, then turned on his comrades, burying a kunai knife in the back of one zen, severing the spinal cord and killed the ninja instantly, before he could scream. Hinata could now see Ino on Shikamaru's back, completely limp as she used her mind-body switch jutsu. She released her prisoner, who stumbled back, raised her head and smiled at Hinata, who returned the smile. She noticed that Ino made no move to get off of Shikamaru's back, and he made no indication that he wanted her to. The last 2 ninjas were terrified. This was supposed to be a simple K. Their information had stated that the Hyuga clan considered Hinata a lost cause, and that she wasn't especially close to anyone in the village. But their spies had missed something. Even though they were now down to 8, the rookie 9 was still the rookie 9, and Hinata was one of theirs. If you messed with one, you risked calling down the wrath of the remaining members. Plus, Lee had been Neji's teammate and rival for so long, he considered Hinata a friend, and he never allowed anyone to go after his friends without getting involved. There were only 2 grass nins left, and they seemed to be frozen in shock, especially when Naruto smirked and began to form another Rasengan. Shino stepped forward, out of the shadows, to stand on the other side of Hinata. Now, he and Naruto were flanking Hinata like some sort of honor guard. This is crazy. One of the nins burst out. Hinata couldn't see his face clearly even with her Byakugan, but he sounded very young. And very scared. Like Naruto said, underestimating us is a mistake. Shino said in his quiet, unassuming voice. And you won't live to regret it. Shino's chakra-eating bugs began to gather at his feet, then swarmed over the ninja that had remained silent. He barely had time to scream as they covered his body and sucked his chakra dry. What was that? The last nin started to jump forward, but stopped when Hinata swung her head towards him, stopping him in his tracks with a Hyuga glare. Naruto smirked and started to pour more chakra into his Rasengan, making it glow bright and spin faster. Naruto, no. Hinata touched the blonde's arm. He's mine. Of course, Hinata. Naruto closed his hand over the Rasengan, reabsorbing the chakra. He crossed his arms over his sea. Oh. This was going to be interesting. Hinata flicked out her chakra whip and wrapped it around the last nin, pinning his arms to his sides, and combined it with her gentle fist style to see off his chakra with the whip. He cried out as the chakra see deeply into him when Hinata pulled it tight. Keeping it taut, Hinata ran in and kicked the boy's knees, see off his chakra to his legs and dropping him to his knees. Who's the traitor who let you in? Hinata demanded, yanking off his mask. He heart twisted when she finally saw how young he really was. For Kami's sake, he couldn't have been older than 11, Hanabi's age. I don't know, he whispered, his shoulders slumping. It was always one of the older ones who handled that. Tears began to flow down his face and drip down to mix with all the bee Hinata's chakra whip was drawing. I swear I don't know. Please, stop, it hurts. The boy was begging, but Hinata knew she couldn't let him live and send him home. It would be seen as a sign of weakness and the attacks would never stop. The Byakugan was too important and powerful. But she regretted that this child's life would be used to send a message. She couldn't do anything about that, but she could make sure that the last face he saw wasn't a cold Hyuga mask, but her real self. It was the least she could do. Allowing her mask to slip away, revealing her warm and caring personality, Hinata released her hold on the chakra whip, leaving it still wrapped around him. She cradled the boy's face in her hands, wiping away his tears. Shush, it's all right. What's your name, honey? Katashin, he whispered, gazing up at her. It's okay, Katashin-kun. She smiled down at him, a big sister smile, not a victory smile. She lifted one hand and touched his forehead. Close your eyes, Katashin-kun. She whispered. He obeyed. Her fingers touched his long eyelashes that lay on his cheeks. It'll be okay, Katashin-kun. I promise. And then, with tears in her eyes, she quickly snapped his small, graceful ending his life quickly and painlessly. His body tumbled to the ground, his tears still wet on his cheeks and glittering on his lashes. Hinata stepped back from the body, but didn't return to Naruto or Shino. Shino, can your bugs help my father? She asked, purposely keeping her back to everyone. Of course. Shino bowed his head at her back, and knelt by her father. Naruto stepped up to her and took her hand. Naruto. She turned her head to look at him. He kept his face serious as he reached up to cup her cheek, catching an escaping tear with his thumb. Hinata, are you okay? I think so, she whispered back. She moved toward him, and he enfolded her in his arms, not caring what the Hyuga clan thought. Hinata needed him, so he would be strong enough for the both of them. I am so proud of you, he whispered, wrapping himself around her. He even wrapped his chakra around her like a huge blanket that warmed her heart and body. Thank you, Naruto. Of course. Naruto ran his fingers through her hair. Hinata pulled back from him and looked up at him. She framed his face with her hands, her fingers resting on his whiskers. He met her gaze, and suddenly, she knew it was now or never. Naruto. Yeah. Hinata, what is it? I love you. I have for a long time, since we were at the academy. And these last few days have just intensified it. Oh, Hinata. Naruto was grinning like an idiot, but he couldn't stop. He buried one hand in her hair, cupping the back of her head. His other hand cupped the back of her N. Then he rested his forehead on hers. I love you too. Not as long as you obviously, but you have been one of my precious people for a long time. I'm not sure when it happened, but it's happened. I'm in love with you too, Hinata. Shino suddenly materialized next to Hinata, which caused Naruto to jump slightly and growl at him. Damn it, couldn't he and Hinata get 5 seconds to themselves? Obviously, Hinata was thinking the same thing, because she sighed in frustration as she turned to Shino. What is it, Shino-kun? I have good news, Hinata-chan. I've cleared the L from your father's body. He'll be a little weak tomorrow, but he'll make a full recovery. Thank you, Shino-kun, Hinata said, letting go of Naruto so she could reach out and grip Shino's hand. There's more, Shino said, giving his sweet teammate a very rare smile. It's a B. Whoever makes the L has to activate it with their own B. My bugs also said that the B in the L tastes similar to your father's. Shino watched Hinata's eyes go wide in understanding, then stone cold with rage, and felt a swell of pride for his teammate. She might have been considered weak by her clan, but she was smart, smarter than they gave her credit for, and very dedicated to her training as a medic nin. A training that called for a vast knowledge of L, something Shino had helped her with. That means the L was made by a Hyuga, she said. Shino nodded. And recently, he added. Hey, that's right. Be decay quickly, don't they? You can't store them, right? Naruto asked. He didn't have the same knowledge of L that Shino and Hinata did, but he was far from stupid, so he knew a little. Hinata nodded. Right, they are only effective for a day. It had to be the traitor. Exactly. B must use the B of the person who makes them. They don't work otherwise. Hinata swayed suddenly, and Naruto stepped close and let her lean against him to hide it from the Hyugas. Hinata, are you okay? I'm just really tired. She smiled up at him. I'm okay now. You sure? Positive. Okay then. Naruto gave her a quick hug, and then let her stand on her own in front of her clan. Shino-kun, can your bugs identify the person the bee came from? Sure they can. All they need is a sample. Like a pricked finger. That'll work. It doesn't have to be a large sample. All right. Hinata took a deep breath, then walked over to stand in front of her clan. Shino and Naruto flanked her like bodyguards, and Lee and the rest of the Rookie 9 moved to stand behind them, supporting her. All of you will offer Shino-kun's bugs a-B sample. Hinata's voice was soft, yet strong and carried easily across the courtyard. A single pricked fingertip will suffice. Why should we? A branch member asked defiantly. Because there is a traitor among you. Guards were purposely moved away from my room, which is why I was secretly moved out of the house, and why the Hokage-sama assigned Naruto-kun as my bodyguard. Then, tonight, my teammate Shino-kun discovered that father, your clan head, was L with a-B. A-B that was activated using the B of a Hyuga. Hinata's voice held an edge sharper than the sharpest kunai knife. You can't order us to do anything. Yes I can. I am the Hyuga heiress. You are bound by oath to obey me. She could have mentioned the curse seal, but Naruto noticed that she refused to go that way. You are not the heiress. You were too weak. Hanabi-sama is our heiress. Wrong. Hinata's voice snapped like one of her chakra whips. Hanabi-chan is not of age. She is only 11, and is too young to act as heiress while our father is incapacitated. I am her elder sister and so I am the temporary ruler of the Hyuga clan by default. You don't have to like it. But you will obey me. You have no support. The man persisted. He looked a bit like Hiashi, Naruto noticed, but colder and more arrogant, if that was possible. I support her, Naruto said, with just a hint of a growl in his voice. He also formed a small Rasengan briefly, threateningly, before reabsorbing it. As do I. Shino spoke next. And so do I. Lee spoke up. One by one, the rest of the Rookie 9 also voiced their support of Hinata. Hinata wanted to turn and smile at him, but knew she couldn't. Then she heard a voice that made her eyes go wide. We support Hinata-sama also. Neji said as Tenten helped him limp into the courtyard. You know that I'm loyal to Hiashi-sama, and that I was injured trying to rescue him. But with him incapacitated, I support Hinata-sama as the temporary clan leader. So do I, Tenten added. And I have my weapons to back her up also. She glared at the Hyugas as she helped her boyfriend limp to stand by Naruto. Some of the less composed Hyugas paled. Tenten's weapons were widely, and justifiably, feared. Hanabi stepped forward and stood in front of Naruto, facing the rest of the clan. I support Hinata Oni-san. Hanabi announced. Atta girl Hanabi-chan. Naruto said, patting her on the shoulder. She smiled shyly at him over her shoulder, which made Naruto chuckle. It seemed like the Hyuga sisters were more alike than they wanted to admit. The branch member finally backed down, and the other followed. Hinata even pricked hers and Hanabi's fingers first for Shino's bugs, who informed Shino that neither sibling had made the L. Then Naruto took a kunai knife and went from Hyuga to Hyuga, pricking their fingers, with Shino's bug following behind him. He reached the branch member who had challenged Hinata, and Naruto pulled his lips back in a silent snarl, showing off his long, fang-like canines. The man's eyes widened in fear, then narrowed in disgust. Filthy demon. The man hissed. Naruto rolled his eyes. Oh please. A little originality would be nice. Just give me your hand so we can get this over with. Come on, come on. He urged impatiently when the man stalled. I've got better things to do today than stain a perfectly good kunai knife with your blue bee. Like spend some time alone with Hinata. He thought. The Hyuga scowled, yet held out his hand and let Naruto draw a small amount of bee from his finger for the bugs. Naruto moved on. When he reached the clan elders, Naruto simply ignored the looks of distaste. Naruto had only done about half of them when Shino stepped up to him. Which one? Naruto asked. That one. Shino indicated a tall, muscular man who looked vaguely like Neji. Naruto remembered seeing him in town once. He'd been talking to Hinata, who'd mentioned that he was the head of the Hyuga family guards. Hinata, who had followed Shino, blinking in surprise and looked devastated. Naruto wanted to step forward and hug her. He wanted to comfort her, sweep her off her feet, and carry her away. But he couldn't. He had to let her stand by herself in front of her clan, or they would never respect her. Sanetabi-san, are Shino-kun's bugs right? Are you the traitor? Hinata felt the betrayal more acutely now. When she was younger, Sanetabi had been friendly and kind, showing her how to hold and throw a shuriken and kunai knife with much more patience and encouragement than her father. Sanetabi looked like he was going to deny it, but one look at Hinata and her friends made him realize he couldn't get away with it now. Yes, Hinata-san, he whispered. But, why? Hinata felt tears filling her eyes, but refused to let them fall. For the good of the clan, Sanetabi said. Then he refused to say any more. Idiot. Naruto surged forward and shoved Sanetabi. Surprised and shocked, Sanetabi fell to the ground, with Naruto standing over him, snarling. Hinata is a member of the clan, you moron. Betraying one member of the clan cannot be excused with, for the good of the clan. Naruto, it's all right. Hinata said quietly from behind him, resting a hand on his arm. Hinata. Naruto half turned toward her. Really, Naruto? Hinata said firmly. Naruto nodded and stepped back to flank Hinata. His face Neji started forward, shaking off Tenten's anxious hands. Neji-ni-san, no. Hinata ordered. Neji stopped, and allowed Tenten to pull him back, his face still furious. That miserable piece of, he still muttered. Shush. You need to calm down, your ribs. Tenten, baby, I'm fine. Humor me, Neji. Hinata-sama, he will pay for his betrayal. One of the clan elders said, his face blank with rage. He motioned for two guards to step forward. He will be. No. Hinata snapped. All of us are ninjas of Konoha village first and members of the Hyuga clan second. And as ninjas of Konoha village, we must obey the laws of our village and the orders of our Hokage. Sanetabi-san has confessed his crime, so he will be taken into custody. But his punishment will be decided by the Godime, just like any other guilty criminal. As you wish, Hinata-sama. The elder said with a small bow of respect. The guards escorted Sanetabi back into the house, followed by the rest of the clan, except Hanabi, who stayed by her sister. Two Hyuga medics even picked up her father and carried him into the house. Hinata was relieved to see that he was moving slightly now, and regaining some color even though he was still asleep. As soon as the clan members, except for Neji and Hanabi, were in the house, Naruto walked up behind Hinata and wrapped his arms around her waist. He rested his chin on her shoulder, his cheek pressed against hers. She sighed and let her head rest against his blonde stubble rubbing against her cheek and making her smile. Hey cutie, he whispered, squeezing her. She chuckled and closed her eyes as she snuggled back against his sea. Hey, she whispered back, almost sagging against him when he nuzzled her cheek. You all right? He asked. I'm tired. She turned in his arms and snuggled against his sea, wrapping her arms around his waist. I'm so tired, Naruto. Oh, Hinata. Naruto bent his head over her and pressed his lips against her hair. Do you want to come back home with me? I should stay here tonight. Hinata said. Shino-kun said that father will still be weak until tomorrow. The clan might need me. Last time I checked, Hanabi was still 11. I understand. He removed one arm from around her waist to touch her chin with his fingers and lifted her face up. You were so strong and brave today, Hinata. I was so proud of you. He beamed at her, and Hinata saw the truth in his eyes and melted. He was proud of her strength and courage. Oh, Naruto. Hinata smiled up at him and raised both of her hands to his face. You made me strong and brave. You had faith in me, and that faith gave me strength and courage. Thank you. You're welcome, Hinata. Naruto moved his hand from her chin to her hair. Hinata smiled when she felt his fingers slid into her hair and she cuddled against his sea, closing her eyes and sighing. Naruto ran his fingers through her hair as she cuddled against him. He loved the way her hair felt, like blue-black silk sliding through his fingers. Finally Hinata forced herself to pull back, and Naruto forced himself to let her go, then snatched her hand just before she got out of reach. Sweet dreams, Hinata. Then she slowly walked backwards, keeping her hand in his for as long as she could. And when their fingers slipped apart, she still kept her eyes locked on his, pale lavender on blue. She gave him one last smile and disappeared into the house. Damn it, Naruto. Make it harder for the rest of us, why don't you? Kiba complained, throwing an arm around Naruto's shoulders. Once you and Hinata start doing that romantic S in public, none of the girls will accept anything less from any of us. Kiba-kun's right, Naruto-ni-chan. Sakura came up and playfully pushed Kiba away from Naruto. He's a dork, but he's right. Sakura-chan, why so cruel? He stepped closer, and Naruto's arm shot out, blocking Kiba's advance. Whoa there, Kiba. Hands to yourself. You're no fun. I'm assuming you like your arms where they are. Sakura-chan will break 'em off. Ouch. Kiba paled, then looked around and brightened. Oh, look, Ino and Shikamaru are fighting again. Then his face fell. Damn it. Shikamaru apologized. Damn it. Kiba, you need to stop this. It's bad for your health to be a pervert around Kuniki. Why don't you go romance a nice village girl? Naruto said, laughing. He couldn't help it. Kiba was entertaining if nothing else. It's no fun without the danger or injury. Kiba informed him. Behind Kiba, Shino put his head in his hands with a groan of the truly victimized. Naruto laughed and shook his head. Then he turned and smiled at Hanabi, who was standing with Neji. They were the only Hyugas left in the courtyard. Naruto crossed to the young heiress and smiled down at her. Hey there, Hanabi-chan. He pulled her into a rough playfully hug and mussed his hair. Thanks for standing up for Hinata. I know it meant a lot to her. No, thank you, Naruto-san. Hanabi said. Naruto kept his hands on her shoulders as he stepped back to see Hanabi's face. For what? For loving Hinata one-chan. She loves you so, and she needs you. I love her, Hanabi-chan. Never doubt that. He grinned and squeezed her shoulders. It's late. You should go to bed. He turned her toward the house and gave her a tiny shove. Go. And Hanabi went. She approves of you. Neji said. What about you? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Well, I don't disapprove. Neji said grudgingly. Without another word, he turned and let Tenten help him into the house. Naruto just smiled and shook his head. It was the best he was going to get out of the stoic ninja and he knew it. He turned to face the rest of the group. All right, guys, he announced. Let's get out of here. Unfortunately, when Hinata woke up the next morning, there was a note on her pillow from Naruto, explaining that Ebisu had asked Naruto to help extract Konohamaru and his teammates from some kind of situation. Naruto didn't know specifics, but he would catch up with her later and tell her all about it. Hinata was a little disappointed, but told herself that Naruto was a Konoha ninja, just like her, she couldn't have him all to herself all the time. In fact, Naruto didn't catch up with Hinata until just before noon, while she was running errands. There you are, he whispered. There you are. Hinata replied with a grin. What happened to Konohamaru and his team? They got themselves buried up to their N in rock. How? I think they're embarrassed. They wouldn't say. Well, they adore you. Hinata said. Naruto grinned. They're great kids. I have fun with them. I think it's cute how they idolize you. Hinata told him. Naruto nuzzled her cheek and she giggled. Then Naruto looked at his watch and grimaced. Sorry, Hinata, I have to go. Tsunade wanted to see me. I think she got some mission or other for me. Or she wants a report on what happened last night. I'll see you later, Hinata. He removed his arms from around her waist and stepped back. Bye, Naruto, Hinata said. He gave her a foxy grin and waved as he started to walk away. But Hinata couldn't stand it anymore. Naruto, she yelled. He stopped and turned to face her, a question in his eyes. Finally pushed past the point of caring about the Hyuga image, Hinata dropped everything and ran to him. Naruto opened his arms, and Hinata leapt into them. Naruto stumbled back a few steps, automatically wrapping his arms around her upper thighs to support her. Hinata wrapped her legs around Naruto's waist, and pulled her upper body back slightly. Naruto had to look up at her, a new experience for them. Hinata framed his face with her hands and stared down into his deep blue eyes. Naruto opened his mouth to ask a question, but Hinata silenced him with a small finger on his lips. Shush, Naruto. No talking. And Uzumaki Naruto, Konoha's #1 hyperactive ninja, forgot how to talk, forgot how to move, forgot how to think. He even forgot how to breathe. All he could do, once his eyes stopped spinning and his neurons started firing again. His mind still reeling, Naruto managed to stumble back and sit down on a bench. They didn't notice, or care, that they had an audience. Lee and Tenten were holding back an overprotective Neji. Kiba and Shino were staring, and Kiba was cursing Naruto under his breath. Sakura and Ino were both squealing, while Jiraiya paused in his research to smirk happily at his student. Shikamaru and Choji were just bored. And Tsunade, who had come looking for Naruto, smiled happily for her adopted brother while frantically thinking of arguments to calm down Hiashi when he found out. Hinata was the first to break their K, and notice their audience. Naruto, she whispered, blushing. People are staring. So, let them stare. Naruto chuckled, when he saw her blush deepen. Shush Hinata. No talking. And then he pulled her into another, long-awaited K. The end. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.